choice winner for delicious wings. Are you hiring? Join the over 3 million businesses that use Indeed.com for hiring. Post your next job on the world's #1 job site, Indeed.com.
Time for the Otters Hour on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260. An inside look at the team and people that make the Erie Otters your team.
Everybody, and welcome inside the Erie Insurance Arena. I'm Aaron Cooney. It's another edition of Otters Hour, and doing it here live from practice at the Erie Insurance Arena. Otters on the ice now. They were just doing some defensive drills on one side, and over to my left, we just had assistant coaches working with some face-off drills, as important as those are. But, we're welcoming you back here and to join us one more time for Otters Hour. And on this edition, we're going to recap the week that was for the Erie Otters. Of course, there were a few games to go through since the last time we chatted, and we'll look at last week, including that big win over the Oshawa Generals. We're also going to chat with Troy Timpano and Gara Podobny of the Erie Otters, and, well, we'll find out how good these guys are in the kitchen, and who's the chef between the two of them. They do live together. They've been billet brothers for the last couple of years. And then we're also going to talk to Troy Timpano about playing guitar, as he's picked up the hobby on his own and has pretty much taught himself how to play guitar. So interesting. We'll talk with him. We'll also get set for the weekend as the Otters are going to head up to Hamilton to see a couple former members of the Erie Otters organization. First, it'd be T.J. Fergus, overage defenseman that was traded to the Hamilton Bulldogs by the Otters right before the season started. It was on opening day in Peterborough that that deal was finalized to send and clear up the Otters' overage situation, with T.J. Fergus now a defenseman with the Hamilton Bulldogs and also an assistant coach with the Bulldogs. Vince Lace, who was an assistant coach with the Otters for 3 seasons before departing last year and joining the Hamilton Bulldogs organization. And then on Saturday, the Otters back on home ice, where they're taking on the Saginaw Spirit for the first time on the season. And we're going to catch up with Joey Botteno, the play-by-play voice of the Saginaw Spirit, as he's going to set things up for us and give us a look at the Saginaw Spirit and where they're at right now. They're on a bit of a hot streak. They've won 3 of the last 4 games, including a big overtime win for them over the London Knights at the Budweiser Gardens, their first win in London since 2014. So it's been a while for them. We'll also catch up with former Erie Otter Alan McShane as we look at some alumni in that segment here on Otters Hour. Alan McShane, of course, part of the big deal last year. The blockbuster trade that brought in Anthony Cirelli to the Erie Otters, a win-win for both teams, if you will. And McShane is off to a pretty good start with his Oshawa Generals. They sit 4th in the Eastern Conference, and he's right up there in the league leaders in points, 18 assists on the year, as Alan McShane on his way, and probably will be a first-round pick of the NHL draft come June. I know Jeff Merrick already has him ranked number 20 in his monthly prospect ratings on Sportsnet.com, so you can go read that. And always interested to see where those guys come through. But here, we'll get started as part of Otters Hour here as the drills continue, and the Otters a bit shorthanded here at practice here today, as leaving yesterday, they already were without B.J. Adams, the Otters associate coach, as he is with Canada Red at the World Under-17 Hockey Challenge, and his Canada Red 1-1 so far in the tournament, with a 1-2. I apologize, they lost to Russia last night, but a big win Monday, defeating the Sweden team 7-2 up in Fort St. John, British Columbia, with the World Under-17 Hockey Challenge underway. 2 other Otters away right now is you're not without Jordan Sambrook and Taylor Radish. They left last night to join Team OHL today and this afternoon as they head up to Owen Sound. That big Canada-Russia series going on right now, with games 3 and 4 being OHL players participating. Taylor Radish, Jordan Sambrook will be a part of game number 3. That's Thursday night in Owen Sound. Team OHL versus Russia, and then they have one more game. It'll be game 4 of that series, of the 6-game series. That'll be Monday night, next Monday, in Sudbury. Jordan Sandberg will participate in that one. He's got a long weekend for himself between these. Well, playing tomorrow night against Russia, and he's got 2 games with the Otters. He'll have a day off Sunday, and then he's, well, not really a day off because he's traveling the whole time to get up to Sudbury for the game Monday. But that series right now is tied 3 points apiece, with each team getting a win. Russia coming back last night to beat the Western Hockey League with a 3-goal third period to win 4-3 to knot things up on the series 3-3. The OHL, they don't lose very often, if at all, to the Russians in this OHL Canada-Russia series. So we'll see how the Otters and their 2 players perform with Thursday's game number 3, the Canada-Russia series. But for us, looking back at the week that was for the Erie Otters, you had the school day game, and for the Otters, yeah, that wasn't very much fun here on home ices. Well, they were taken to school by the Kitchener Rangers in a 7-3 loss here at the Erie Insurance Arena. It seemed like the school kids had a great time here as well. To at least, I mean, who wouldn't? If you get to step away from class and come hang out at the arena and catch a hockey game and get a free hot dog and everything, I think that was a lot more fun than sitting during reading class. But the Otters are roughed outing this past Wednesday, just a week ago, in a 7-3 loss. And it's not going to be their final school day game, as we'll preview next week. And the Otters will be participating in another school day game, that in Mississauga, when they take on the Steelheads for the first rematch of the OHL final. This past Friday, a visit from the Oshawa Generals, a rematch of the OHL final from 2015. And boy, it was all Erie Otters as they just continued to roll over the Oshawa Generals here on the Erie Insurance Arena ice the last 2 years. 2 straight shutouts over the Generals from Erie, Pennsylvania, and they've outscored them 14-0 as the Otters got quickly underway. Kyle Maximovich at 2:18 had the Otters going shorthanded, and he would add another one shortly thereafter in the first period as the Otters took a 2-0 lead.
Fritz Sandbrook picks it up, and the Otters looking to move out and fight another 2-on-1. Radish and Maximovich. Radish looking for Maximovich in front. Tips it home. Get back, Jack. Do it again. 2 for Maximovich. And it's 2-0 Erie.
Yeah, 2-0 Erie, and they weren't done because they'd have power play goal. It was Taylor Radish setting up both of Maximovich's goals to start the first. He's going to add to it because he's adding his own, the big dog on the board, to make it 3-0 on the power play.
Center point, Owen Hedrick. Right back to Taylor Radish in the right circle. Gives across. Maximovic winds up, fakes the shot, delivers on to Hedrick. Back to Taylor Radish, sends it on, was trying to dish to Maximovic. That was defended. Slowed by Hedrick again. Out of the final minute of this power play. Maximovic back to Taylor Radish, right side. Winds up, booming shot, he scores! Let the big dog eat. It's 3-0 Erie.
And it was just all Erie all the time. Adding more, Garrett Podubny filling in as well.
A rebound, Garrett Podubny gives to Jordan Sambrook. With 23 seconds to power. Another shot off the mark. Off the end boards, and they score! Field of Gurn, the Erie Insurance Arena bounce to Christian Gurney. He slides it home. 6-0 Erie.
Yeah, Garrett Podubny helped set that one up. He had a goal of his own as Christian Gurney put the Otters up 6-0. They take the game 8-0 over the Oshawa Generals as Friday night, a good night at the Erie Insurance Arena. And then looking ahead to the next days, this past Saturday, a rematch of the Memorial Cup Final 2017. Windsor Spitfires in town. And, well, things seem pretty good to start as the Otters got off to a 1-0 lead. Ivan Ladnia with a spin-a-rooney finding the back of the net for an early 1-0 lead.
Wainman on for Owen Hedrick. Addition for the Otters to get back after he missed most of last Saturday's game against Guelph, and then Sunday and Wednesday they get him back last night. And a couple points. Just look out, a steal from the Otters. Twirling is Ladnia for the whirling dervish spin move. Erie on the board first. It's 1-0.
And Ladnia had the Otters rolling and banked down after a jump in along the near side corner. He picks it up and just twirls his way, sneaks it past Michael DiPietro. Otters are up 1-0, but the Spitfires came roaring back, and there's really one line that did the damage, with Aaron Luchuk tying the game at 1 at 17:43 of the first period to enter that first intermission all knotted up. And then Logan Brown just kind of took the game over, starting with his first goal on the night at 2:03.
Erie hemmed in here with this third defensive pairing and the top unit on with forwards. It's a wrist shot, they score. Logan Brown sneaks it past Timpano from the left wing circle in a tired Erie Otters unit. And the Spitfires take advantage 2-1.
Yeah, it was a period of the long change here, second frame where the Otters got hemmed in by that top line. As they had the third line on, just unable, outmatched by that size of the top line of the Windsor Spitfires. And you're talking some big boys with Logan Brown at 6'6", Aaron Luchuk, maybe one of the smaller guys, but Cole Purbu, who stepped on here and filled the role, 6'3", 218 pounds. Erie outworked on that play, and they're just dog-tired. And Brown lets a shot go, just sneaks past Timpano from that left wing circle. He would match that, actually, 5 minutes later on the power play as Windsor took a 2-goal lead.
On for Purbu. Luchuk still out here. Cole Purbu on far side. Gets off Brown. One-timer scores. Logan Brown with his second of the night from nearly the exact same spot from earlier in the period, and it's 3-1. Spitfires ahead.
Well, after Erie kind of regained themselves, they actually, Troy Timpano would leave the game after that goal. He was sick and did not return to the bench. As it was said by head coach Chris Hartsburg, he wasn't able to return. So the Otters goes in with Anand Oberoi to finish things out, and he performed admirably the rest of the way out and set things up for the Otters to eventually tie the game after Carson Edwardson would bring Erie within 1 goal by the end of the second period, setting up a game tire from Josh Wayman.
Rodney to the puck. Open is Hedrick on the near side. Fakes a slapper. Hands off to Wayman. Wrist shot. Scores! Somebody call my mama. The Otters have tied this game at 3 with 4:43 to go.
And looking back at how the Spitfires tired out the Otters in that one shift in the second period, they do it again in overtime. Sean Day, Aaron Luchuk, Logan Brown, Cole Purbu, after that first couple of names, just kept the puck in the Otter zone and just skated circles, just keep away until they tired him out. And they get a change on as Aaron Luchuk replaces Logan Brown, and he just takes care of the rest in overtime in a 2-0-2. Luchuk, who scored the game winner in the Memorial Cup final for a 4-3 victory. Well, he does the same thing here in this rematch in overtime for another 4-3 victory for the Spitfires.
Changes behind the play. Man just on. It's Aaron Luchuk. Steps through one. The Otters poke it. He got it right back. Luchuk waits, holds, fires, scores. Aaron Luchuk just outweights the Otters and rips it past Anand Oberoi. And the Spitfires take the game 4-3 in overtime.
You get 3 out of possible 6 points on the week. The Otters, hey, you're still within striking distance. If you go and look at the standings right now, Erie's just 2 points behind the Kitchener Rangers for the top spot in the Midwest Division. Still not a whole lot of separation throughout the Ontario Hockey League. It's anybody's game. We're heading into the third month, and the season's really starting to pick up some steam here before heading towards the Christmas break. But we're going to actually take a break of our own, and when we come back, we're going to sit down with Troy Timpano and Gara Padumny, and we'll go all over the gamut of things and continue on and get the inside of what it's like to be Billet Brothers. Now we're going to have more after that. It's Otters Hour. You're listening to the Erie Otters Radio Network on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
Over the years, technology has greatly improved the productivity of the business office. From faxes and copiers to multifunction printers, now we just don't know how to get things done without them. That means you need a reliable printer copier and a dependable service plan. That's why you should trust Cooper Business Machines. They are Erie's only authorized dealer for sharp document systems. And most importantly, they'll maintain your machine so that it continues to, well, work. Just like your car, it needs regular maintenance and parts need to be replaced regularly. If your copier isn't properly maintained or you're not getting toner in a timely fashion, then you've been reminded of what it's like to work in the dark ages. Don't wait any longer. Your business requires dependability. Shouldn't you expect the same? Cooper Business Machines, Erie's only authorized sharp dealer and service provider, helping you get back to business since 1980. Online at cooperbusinessmachines.com or call 456-7585.
Hi, this is Ed Rendell. I've got to admit that I was sort of a dinosaur when it came to using social media. But my son found Epic Web Studios, and we began working with them. And they've done an incredible job with us. They've significantly increased our followers on Twitter and Facebook. They make sure that we put up the right things. They capture every good thing that I've said or done on TV and get it out real quickly. And it's been just a revelation to me, and they've been tremendous to work with.
Don't be a dinosaur. Call or text Epic Web Studios at 814-746-6987.
Looking for the best health plan through your employer? Well, let's look at the proof. With Highmark, you're covered wherever and whenever. at 93% of doctors across the country and in 190 countries across the world. So whether you're going to Minneapolis or Milan, your coverage goes too. Choose the plan with Living Proof. Choose Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Visit ChooseLivingProof.com. Network coverage varies by plan. Check your member materials for details.
Where's the only place to get official Erie Otters merchandise? Well, that would be by visiting the Erie Otters store, of course, part of the Erie Otters front office located at 201 East 8th Street. Fans can browse the largest selection of certified official Erie Otters shirts, hats, sweatshirts, novelties, and more. While you're there, order your custom-made Otters jersey, now available in the new white version. Merchandise is also available 24/7 online at ErieOttersStore.com and can be purchased at the Erie Insurance Arena at pop-up shops during all Erie Otters home games. Show your Otters pride and wear what the team wears.
When winter hits with cold, gusty winds, snowstorms, and freezing temperatures, nothing beats warming up next to a warm fireplace. Find the perfect fireplace for your home at the Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Stroll through their fireplace gallery featuring 20 live burning displays.
Talk with Frontier's trained staff and see which fireplace fits your home's needs. Plus, get rebates up to $500 when you purchase a Napoleon natural gas fireplace. Natural gas fireplaces are convenient, inexpensive to operate, clean, and never run out of gas. Enjoy the comfort of a wood fire with natural gas, your most energy-efficient choice. With so many options, including remote control, you'll be amazed at all the choices you'll find at Frontier's Fireplace Gallery.
Whether you're updating or remodeling, the Frontier Home Products and Design Center will design the fireplace of your dreams. Visit them at 42nd and Peach or Frontier Lumber on East 5th next to the Bayfront Highway.
Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Discover a new frontier.
PA contractor number PA039007.
If you're currently working in restaurant or cafe customer service or as a restaurant supervisor, LeeCom wants to talk with you. LeeCom is filling both part and full-time positions at Coffee Culture in Erie. These jobs are special. You're serving delicious, healthy food in a fun and cozy environment and getting good pay with opportunities to grow. Coffee Culture offers fabulous benefits for full-time employees. You will be working for LeeCom, one of the area's premier employers. Opportunity is knocking. If you have restaurant experience as a server or supervisor, then LeeCom wants to talk with you about working at Coffee Culture. Start by visiting leecom.edu/jobs to complete an application and be sure to mention this ad. Find out about other open jobs by following LeeCom Jobs on Twitter. Welcome to wellness. Welcome to LeeCom Health.
Waterford Physical Therapy reminds you that you do have a choice as to where to receive your physical therapy. With the latest in rehab techniques and equipment, the right choice is Waterford Physical Therapy. Call 796-3400.
Chronic pain? Sports injuries? When you need high-quality physical therapy, count on the pros of Waterford Physical Therapy. They're also Direct Access certified, so you can get up to 30 days therapy without a prescription. The right choice. Waterford Physical Therapy. 796-3400.
You're listening to the Otters Hour on CBS Sports Radio, 96.3 and 1260.
Welcome to Geico's Motorcycle Meanderings.
Oh, man, this is great. I sure saved a lot of money by switching to Geico. Scored some big savings, and now I can use them over.
Welcome back to Otters Hour, here in your new home for Otters Hockey, CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260. I'm Aaron Cooney, and we're hanging out here today with Erie Otters goaltender Troy Timpano and forward Garrett Pedoni. Guys, thanks for hanging out for a little bit with me here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to start first here. We'll look around at kind of the hockey side, and it's just interesting to get behind it. But you guys last year, you come in. Two new guys to Erie and to the team, and you end up living together. But what's the situation like? How has Erie how has the city embraced you, and how have you taken to the city and to the Erie Otters?
Well, personally for me, it's another home now for myself. I know for G as well, and we both have lived away from home now for a number of years, and Erie's opened up their arms for us, and it's a very warm and welcoming last year. So I'm fortunate for it.
I think Troy said it all, but I just enjoy living with him.
Gareth, start with you. Because you were coming to America. When you come from Russia to America, you spend a couple of years in Philadelphia before coming to the Otters. What's it like leaving your family like that, coming halfway across the planet to play hockey in America?
Yeah, well, first year was obviously probably the hardest one for me. I didn't know much language. I didn't know many people where I came. I think after the first couple of years being in Philly and coming here helped me a lot. Like the time I spent in Philly helped me a lot transitioning to being Erie.
I hear. What was the biggest difference for you between Russia, home, and then working your way into outside of language? I guess I know that's got to be the top language barrier. It's going to be the hardest thing, but outside of that, what was the biggest transition for you into the American?
I think probably living on my own and kind of taking care of my own self, pretty much. I don't have mom or dad. I have to take care of myself.
It's nice to have the billets and to help out a little bit too.
For sure,
I guess on that side.
Yeah.
Obviously, a successful first year last year, being in Erie and with the group. But what was it about that team that made it so special? What was it last year that when you look back, you're always going to remember about the group in the run?
Well, for me, it's going to be just how close all the guys were. Having guys like Strome, and when I first got traded there too, I only really knew Jake Lauer, and obviously I played against Strome growing up, and Fellows, and a couple other guys. So they were very, very welcoming, and it goes to show the leadership that the team had, and to open up their arms and welcome guys like myself and G, whose first year it is in Erie. It just really speaks volumes about the character of the team, our teammates, and the team that we had last year.
For you, what do you remember most about your first year in the OHL? And nice it ends with the championship and everything, but what are you always going to look back at it last season?
For sure, I think how close we were. We had a lot of older guys, a lot of younger guys, and we were all together as a group, no matter how old you were, and we're all treated as the same guy.
For you, and I remember watching it with Sudbury those couple of years. Was it nice to have that change of scenery? Nothing against Sudbury, and I'm sure they treated you well, and I've heard you talk about them before. But to have that switch from a team that's always seems like a perpetual rebuild, and even maybe they still are in that right now, but and then to come to a contender, was it nice that change of pace for you and to that a new challenge?
Of course. I kind of went from one extreme to another when you look at it, right? So we weren't a very strong team at Sudbury, but it was a very important few years I had for my development, and so coming to Erie and meeting the guys and having the year that we did, obviously it's an easy way to easy first year. You win a championship, perfect. And so obviously I do still miss the city of Sudbury, my billets, and obviously a few teammates. So it's gonna always be that way. But Erie's my home, and I absolutely love it here.
What's the biggest change going into the OHL? What was the biggest thing that you had to go through to learn the game? Is it, like I say, speed, or is it the even just matching the skill of some of the other guys on the ice?
Yeah, well, everyone's very good. Everyone's skilled, fast. So you kind of have to find your game and find your things that you're better than others at. And kind of get used to hockey, speed, everything.
Who's the hardest shot or shooter or competition you ever faced as a goaltender? I'm always interested about that because there's been a ton of guys. Even in practice, you had some good. I mean, that your rookie year, you guys had a pretty good team at Sudbury, and so I think you've seen a lot of shooters.
I think our hardest shot or best player I've ever had shoot against me, I guess you could say. I don't know, many people might not know him, but his name's Sidney Crosby. He was pretty good, if I can remember. But
I remember a certain picture that it's on Twitter that came out.
Yeah, he was all right. He stood out.
Okay, you see Sidney Crosby bearing down on you. Like, what is going through your head when you see that?
Stoner made a funny comment on the picture. Actually, he mentioned something like, "Did he actually score?" But funny enough, I think I blacked out. It was pretty surreal when you see that guy coming down on you. But fortunate for the experience, and it's definitely something I'll never forget.
Garrett, when you started the season, obviously you had some training that you did in Russia, and you mentioned to me a couple weeks ago that you were training with some of the guys in the KHL. What's it like? When you look at the KHL, obviously we're kind of spoiled. The NHL's around us, but about the KHL, is it as big as a hockey league as as we kind of take the NHL here in North America?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's the highest league in Russia. Obviously, it's the best hockey. Hockey's different, obviously, right? It's a lot bigger rink, a little bit different style. It's like more ice. And like for goalies, too, it's very different because all the shots come kind of from far away. You got to play positionally more. No, I like KHL hockey, though.
The extra space, you like using that a little bit more?
Yeah.
What do you take from training with some of those guys, and any players that we would know from maybe former NHLers that you played with? Practice with?
Yeah. Like I spent my summer in Philadelphia, right over summer, so I get to skate with guys like Briere, Johnny Gaudreau, Gus Spear. So yeah, they're very good, obviously, right? You can just look at them and see the things they do, like what makes them special. Like maybe some extra drills on hands, or kind of like just bag yourself, to better condition.
Just see their work ethic. Really.
Yeah. You guys both had a little experience at camps and everything. And Troy, I'll come back to you. But Gary, you went to Nashville with their orientation camp. What did you take from that? And you just look, it's a bunch of young guys. It seems like that are going into their first kind of camps and learning about what it takes to be a pro.
Yeah, it was very exciting and a little bit scary at the same time. Obviously, there's a lot of older guys, like a lot older than me. But I think I learned more off the ice than on the ice. With all kind of different people coming in, giving us speeches, what it takes to be a pro, stuff like that.
And Troy, to mention Crosby, and I know you were down in Pittsburgh with Pittsburgh in the tournament up in Buffalo. What was for you to take, especially coming into your overage year, does it give you that much more motivation going into the season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you go to an NHL camp, like G said, you get to see what other players do, the routines, the preparation before games, similar stuff like that, and you end up being a sponge, and you just try and soak everything in when you go to these, and the experience is phenomenal, and you don't forget that. But it gives you some confidence going into the year that a team saw you as a potential top player that they could see on their team. So it's definitely a good confidence boost, but at the same time, it's just one team, and evidently you're gonna want all the interest, right? So buckle down, put your head down, just hard work.
You're listening to Otters Hour here on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260. I'm your host, Aaron Cooney, and we're chatting with Troy Timpano and Garrett Podubny here. And I want to switch gears a little bit, guys, and we're going to get away from the rink a little bit because I wanted to ask you about living together. Troy, it's been noted you're kind of like the big brother here to Garrett. What's it been like, you guys rooming together and showing G the ropes in the OHL?
It's been fun. He's like my brother now. So even after the last year, took a couple weeks off. Me and him, he came back to Canada with me, so I got to show him a little bit of the Toronto life. So he says he's enjoyed it, but no, it's been awesome living with him. Great guy. He's always supported me, and tough game happens, he's there to kind of pick me up and say, don't worry about it. So it goes back and forth. So me and him. We have our nights where we get into a little bit of a.
So it's like the bigger brother, older brother, younger brother dynamic.
We spend a lot of time together.
Physically, we fight at least once a day.
What have you learned from Troy in this now going into second season, living with him, and what have you picked up?
Yeah, obviously he's an experienced guy, right? 5th year in the league. He knows what it takes, how to prepare for the games, how to spend your free time,
how to cook,
how to have fun at the same time, So we learn a lot for sure.
What did he teach you to cook? He showed you around the kitchen a little bit?
I usually am the guy that cooks for the both of us, and she just kind of
he takes the lead, in that part.
We'd be starved if it wasn't for me.
Have you tried your hand at all a little bit in the kitchen? You've learned a few things here and there. Not just cereal. I'm not talking about cereal and some milk, but
no, I can make eggs.
Borscht,
bacon, borscht, yeah.
So okay,
Russian soup, yeah.
Okay, that's what I never knew what it is.
Yeah, it's a no-win Russian soup, pretty much. It's really good.
I'm interested. Next time you're cooking, you gotta bring in some leftovers and let me know, because I can try that out. When you look at G for being a rookie on this team, take us through what's it like being a rookie, because there's a lot of responsibilities that people I don't think they see off the ice, whether it's loading the bus, you got to bring movies. So last year, it being your first year here in the OHL, what did you have to go through, and is there anything that the older guys kind of gave you a hard time for?
Yeah, well, me coming into the OHL, I did not know what to expect as being a rookie, and First day in the training camp last year, Darren Radish had a meeting with all the rookies explaining us what we have to do as rookies. So I was sitting there and I was very surprised and very shocked. I was like, what did I get myself into? You know, like I did not expect that at all. Like, you know, like there's a lot of us. I believe there's like 5 guys, so we all stuck together and we all went through everything together as a team again.
A lot of what we do with the rookies is it's a lot of team building. You know, it's not what it used to be with the hazing and stuff like that. It's
way back,
that's completely gone. So when you hear what G says, you know, I didn't know what I got myself into. There's a lot of things that we expect the rookies to do, but that's every team. Pick up pucks, stuff like that. There's many things that, you know, we lean on the first year players, and but it's all within fun, and it brings the guys closer.
Sure. Back in the bus, I'm sure that wasn't your favorite thing, or cleaning the bus afterwards.
No, none of that was.
I know you weren't a favorite of Doug the bus driver after last season.
Yeah.
But what do you guys do to pass time on the bus? So I know we got some long road trips, and coming up next weekend we'll be heading to Michigan for Saginaw and Flint. How do you, spend a lot of time on there outside of the movies that play on the bus? What do you guys do to pass the time?
Usually we just we'll small talk here and there.
I personally think the best time to spend time on the bus is talk and have a conversation with someone about something. I think that's the best way to kill it.
A lot of guys sleep as well, but you know it's not the most comfortable situation. So guys try and stay up, and then you have the border too. So it's a mess. It's a mess. We don't get very lucky with
probably the worst
our
part
road
about
trips.
hockey. Yeah.
I don't know. It's either here. The Sioux probably might be worse, but that's the only thing that could be worse when you're on the road for a long while.
The guys make it better though, and you know I've seen teams like Windsor, because a few buddies on the team, they actually bring a TV and their Xbox, and they'll be and they play like NHL. It's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea. Well, my first year, the bus didn't even have power outlets, so you had to. If you didn't charge your phone, had it charging during the game or something, like you were screwed. Like if that went down, you were screwed. I wanted to ask you about music, because Troy, I remember one trip last year you brought a guitar on the bus. Do you still play guitar, or what's the story behind that?
Well, my third year in Sudbury, I was injured for pretty much half the year, and I remember the place where I lived for all 3 years. I never really checked under the bed. So this time I'm checking under the bed and I find a guitar, and I'm injured, so not much to do. Whatever. I taught myself how to play. I had roughly 2-3 months, and I taught myself how to play. I'd get home from hockey and from just pretty much doing rehab, and I'd start teaching myself just on YouTube, and so I still play that. I play the ukulele. Used to play the saxophone way back.
Okay,
it's a little hobby of mine, I guess you could say.
Oh, fun. You gonna teach G anything? Start like an Otters.
G has one tune, and it's fucking 3 strings back and forth, just do 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 do, and that's all he does.
It's fun. It comes me down. You just sit there. I think it's fun.
I'll be doing something out here in the back of my head.
It's a little, musical therapy. It's like it's a profession now.
It's pretty cool. You do something with your fingers and produce sound. I think it's cool.
Gee, maybe actually I I played drums like all throughout growing up. So
really?
When you move up here and you get an apartment, it's like, you can't take a kit with you.
You're gonna get kicked out of that place.
I know. I gotta get an electronic kits at some point, and then we'll just have to jam. That'll be the Otters band.
Yeah,
concert afterwards. Concert after a game or something.
Halftime show.
Yeah. The other question I have for you, Troy, is I wanted to ask you, because in the summer or from time to time, there's a young fan that you kind of tweet some pictures with. You're always kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
Yes, back in Sudbury. Who is that, and kind of what's the story with your relationship?
It's nice that you actually brought that up, because a lot of people, I do get that question a lot, and the story behind it's really nice. Wyatt Sommers, he has autism. He suffers with autism, and he's the most incredible little kid I've ever met. And his brother, actually, Alex, suffers with autism as well. And I met them during I was bowl with the Wolves. This is during my second year now. I met Wyatt and his little brother, and they just kind of clinged, they just stuck to me. They loved me. Even though they have autism and stuff, you don't treat them any different, obviously, and it was nice to see that their parents supported them the way that they did, and it was incredible. But ever since I pretty much met him during the bowling, we just stuck, and he's like a little brother now, and
that's awesome.
He loves the Otters, obviously, which is great.
Yeah, huge.
Another fan for the city, so that's always good.
That's great. Gee, wrapping things up here. I know I'm gonna let you guys go, and I gotta wrap things up and get to a commercial break here soon. But Garrett, what's the biggest thing you miss being away from home? And I mean, for us, we can still drive home. For me, it's a 2-hour drive home down south to Pittsburgh. I'm sure you can get back up across the border pretty quickly too. But for you, it's quite a journey to get back home. But is there anything you miss and miss having here? So being so far away from home.
I think parents, obviously family is the most, it's like I talk to them on the phone a lot, but it's not the same as talking in person, giving hugs, stuff like that. I say family probably my number one thing that I miss from home for sure.
I can only imagine, man. But Troy Timpano, Garrett Padelli, guys, thanks for stopping on with me here today.
Thanks for having us.
I'm Aaron Cooney. We got to send us a break. We got more Otters Hour coming up. You're listening to the Erie Otters Radio Network on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
It's on now! Don't miss the multi-million-dollar Veterans Day weekend 50 to 65% off spectacular at Arthur F. Schultz, 26th and Cascade in the heart of Erie. Find incredible furniture and appliance savings throughout the store. Buy interest-free for 4 years on all home furnishings and get a sales tax discount. Plus, delivery and setup are absolutely free at Arthur F. Schultz. America's best manufacturers have offered Arthur F. Schultz incredible one-time special purchase Veterans Day savings. The highest quality, the best selection, free delivery, the lowest prices of the year, and a tremendous financing offer, plus a tax discount. Now is the time to buy. You'll save 50 to 65% and more on brands like Lazy Boy, Simmons Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, Liberty, Smith Brothers, and England. The list goes on and on. Buy interest-free for 4 full years and get a tax discount. Plus, delivery and setup are absolutely free. It's the multi-million-dollar Veterans Day weekend 50 to 65% off spectacular. On now, only at Arthur F. Schultz, 939 West 26th and Cascade, in the heart of Erie.
Lissa was diagnosed with breast cancer at Allegheny Health Network when she was only 27.
One of my nurses dropped me off at my door, sent me a text and said, "You don't need to come outside. There's food for you and your husband outside." And it was like, who does that? Like, that is beyond the level of care that is even required. Anytime I would have like a moment of panic or something wasn't going right, I'd call and they would call me back right away. If they didn't answer right away, it was always my nurse that I would talk to, and she would get an answer for me immediately.
Since 2016, Lissa is cancer-free. Caring for all of her life is living proof. Erie's top-rated hospital for women's health is St. Vincent of Allegheny Health Network. Visit ahn.org/allofherlife to learn more or schedule an appointment. Claim based on Quantro's 2017 CareChex National Quality Rating Database.
Interstate Mitsubishi is now selling the Outlander Sport for its lowest price ever, $16,988. That's almost $5,000 less than its original MSRP of $21,890. For just $16,988, you can own an Outlander Sport with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, 7 airbags, and 18-inch alloy wheels. This is the best deal on a brand new CUV you'll find anywhere, and it's only at Interstate Mitsubishi, 1/2 mile south of the Mill Creek Mall on Route 99.
Price and prior to tax, title, and license fees. The Sheraton and Courtyard Erie Bayfront Hotels are proud sponsors of the Erie Otters. Join them for their pregame and postgame celebration at the award-winning Bayfront Grill or the brand-new Shoreline Grill, located just minutes away from all the action. Let them help you fuel up for the high-energy game with their extensive menus and craft brew selections. You oughter be dining with the best. The Sheraton Erie Bayfront Grill and Courtyard by Marriott.
Erie landmark since 1953, Nunzi's Place serves generous portions of great food at reasonable prices. Family owned for almost 60 years, Nunzi's prepares the finest Italian cuisine in Erie. Come see why the Erie Times News said Nunzi's is known for food that tastes good. Nunzi's Place, located at 2330 East 38th Street near the Bayfront Connector. To call for reservations or place an order for takeout, call 825-2940. Nunzi's, known for Italian food that tastes good since 1953.
This holiday season, my good friend gave to me 7 Powerball tickets, 6 match 6 chances, 5 cash points, 4 cash Freeze to Mega Millions.
Pennsylvania Lottery tickets make great gifts, like the new Merry Millions with top prizes of $1 million. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day.
And best wishes from the lottery.
At Tim Hortons, we've got something new. Because we know change is exciting. Change is good. Change is delicious. Try our new hash brown sticks. Golden and crispy, they're perfect for dipping and sharing. Pair them with our new Western Omelet Breakfast Sandwich. Get both for just $3.49. Only at Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants for a limited time. Offer valid with biscuit, English muffin, and classic bagel breakfast sandwiches with protein, Western omelet, and cheese.
You're listening to the Otters Hour on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
Welcome back to another edition of Otters Hour here on your new home for Erie Otters hockey, CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260. I'm Aaron Cooney, and right now, please be joined by the Director of Broadcasting and Communications, the voice of the Saginaw Spirit, Joey Patino. Joey, thanks for hopping on with us.
Hey, no problem at all, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I know you're into your third year, and there's a group of us kind of young guys that have kind of popped up around the American teams. But for you, what's the experience been like joining the Ontario Hockey League? I know you got a ton of experience before this, but the OHL, how's it treating you so far?
You know what? I was a huge fan of this league before I got a chance to work in it. So I've been following the OHL as a young man growing up in the Detroit area. I followed the Plymouth Whalers for most of my young life, so I was very familiar with the league even before I got my first opportunity to work in it. What I remember is just really good players coming through this league, always very exciting hockey through, from what I remember in the late 90s into the 2000s, and just you could see that the skill starting to take over as the early 2000s went into the mid to late 2000s, and now here we are with, in my mind, one of the best hockey products in the world. So it's really exciting to be a part of it, and I know for you, coming into Erie with a pretty good situation and some guy who wears number 97 won't be playing there. So that's we've both been pretty lucky here in our young broadcasting careers.
Oh, it's been a ton of fun, and it's crazy to even think when you're talking about young players that Connor McDavid is eligible to come back for one more year here. It would be his 08 year. But looking at, I did want to ask you, being another American market, because you guys kind of deal with the same kind of, it's a different situation here compared to some of the other OHL teams. But for us, you mentioned getting Connor McDavid here, that kind of rejuvenated the fan base here in Erie. But for the Saginaw region, how have they embraced the spirit, and what's kind of give us the lowdown on what the fan base is like?
Well, our fans are really passionate about the game. Despite that the Spirit have only been here 16 years, hockey in general has been in Saginaw for 50 years. And, it was pro hockey back then. But, I think they've embraced the junior game. And, like you just mentioned about Connor McDavid, getting him to come to Erie and play for the Otters is huge and rejuvenated that fan base. I don't want to put Blade Jenkins on that same pedestal as Connor McDavid, but the idea of getting him to, decommit from his scholarship at the University of Michigan to come to play junior hockey in Saginaw and seeing early the success that he's had at this level after really struggling. He only had 8 points last year for the USNTDP. It's really encouraging, and I think that again, not to put McDavid and Jenkins on the same level, but in a way, getting Jenkins to commit to the Spirit, having him get off to such a good start, might be a little bit of something to rejuvenate our fan base after, two of arguably our most disappointing years as a franchise.
And I'll bring him up a little bit later on, but excited to see Blade Jenkins Saturday when the Spirit and the Otters get together for the first time on the season at the Erie Insurance Arena. Joey, Spencer Carver, he departs in the offseason, and just like, 10 teams losing their head coaches from the OHL this season, half the league. But you bring in Troy Smith. How has he taken to the team, and what has he instilled in with the group of guys in the locker room?
Well, I think Troy's been a breath of fresh air to not only the players but everyone around this hockey staff and the front office support staff, because Troy has a lot of experience at this level. And nothing against Spencer Carberry. I thought he did an admirable job in his first year working in junior hockey as a coach. But he had come from a different situation where, in my mind, I don't think you could have two more polar opposite settings than the ECHL and the OHL. Mm-hmm. And so he had a little bit of a tough time adjusting at first. And you know what? It wasn't just him, though. It was the players, too. They had a little bit of a tough time adjusting. And so by the time we got everything together, it seemed like the season was already over. And, we just got off to that tough start last year, and we really couldn't recover. But, having Troy come in, it wasn't necessarily early on because Spencer kind of left a little bit late. But Troy came in right away, set the ground rules for how he coaches the team. He's made some adjustments, and then, to our general manager's credit, Dave Drinkle, he's gone out and gotten some players that Troy feels comfortable with in Danelle Verity, and now Mason Kahn is an overager. Mason was a part of the Kitchener Rangers team when Troy was the head coach there. So, he's gotten some pieces to work with, and I think he's done a really nice job with some of our younger players, getting them to buy in. And quite frankly, we went, in my mind, last year from one of the slowest teams in the OHL to this year probably one of the faster teams in the Ontario Hockey League. And I think that is a complete a staple of Troy Smith's play. Is just fast, in your face, aggressive, don't sit back. If we're going to lose, we're going to lose 6-5, and we're going to get after it and try to score some goals. And I like that, and I think the fans like that too.
Now, we've been blessed in Erie with Chris Knobloch for the past 4 seasons before he departed to the Philadelphia Flyers as an assistant. But, now having in Troy Smith, but with all the coaching changes that Saginaw's had, has it been difficult to get that, that gel and that mesh together with the group of guys that, it sounds like that they finally have right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think that you can attribute some of the struggles the team has had to the turnover the team has had. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, sometimes you strike gold on things like that, and sometimes it doesn't work out. This is my 3rd year with the Spirit, and in that time we've had 4 head coaches. So, if it's a struggle for the people in the front office to try to wrap their head around it, imagine what it's like to be a player. So, I think it's a little different every time. Each coach that comes in has a different philosophy, and you have to wrap your head around that, or you have to find a new place to play. So some of these players have kind of had a tough time over that stretch. I think of players like Marcus Crawford, who's been here for all 4 of those coaches, and how he's had to adjust his game. And some coaches letting him be more offensive the way he feels comfortable, and some coaches making him reel it back and play more defense. So, I think he's one of the guys who's really had to adjust his play over the last little while to fit the coaching staff. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, I think what you're seeing now is a coaching staff that's been put in place that has a lot of OHL experience, that the guys know and understand, and are going to be able to listen to these guys because, quite frankly, they know what they're talking about. They've been there. They've gone through it with Troy Smith as a player and as a coach. And so, I think that goes a long way when it comes to, taking in everything a coach is saying. Well, if you can go back and say, okay, well, he's done it as a player, he's done it as a coach, it brings a little bit more credibility to the table as well.
You're listening to Otters Hour on your new home for Otters hockey, CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260. And we're chatting with Joey Batano, play-by-play voice of the Saginaw Spirit, among the whole other host of things that us guys do here with some of these other teams. And let's look at the team. And you briefly mentioned Blake Jenkins and what he's meant to the fan base and that kind of rejuvenation. But on the ice, what can we expect to see from him Saturday in the first match between these 2 teams?
Well, if you had asked me that question a week ago, I would have said, you know what, Aaron, I'm not quite sure because he's been a little bit inconsistent. But over the last little while, he's really put his game together, and he's getting rewarded for some opportunities that he's been getting. And you know what? It's not just Blade, it's that entire line of Blade Jenkins, Damian Drew, and DJ Buzzdecker that is really steering the ship for the team offensively right now. They were awesome last Wednesday night when we beat Flint. They had factored in, they had 7 points and factored in on 3 of the 4 goals scored in the third period in the comeback. So it's they've been on fire lately, and credit to Troy Smith. You know what? He's recognized that, and he's playing the heck out of them. They're getting a little bit extra ice time. They're getting opportunities on the power play, and you know, with them being red hot right now, the team's the benefactor of that, and we've been able to score some goals, which has been something that was a real bugaboo there for the first 2 months of the season. All of a sudden now we've been able to put, 5 and 6 goals in the back of the net, and that's been the difference here. Is we've been in a couple of high-scoring affairs over the last little while.
And it was a big week for you guys, including the overtime win over the London Knights. And I know it's been a while since Saginaw's got a win in London. But has this past week been what's maybe kickstart this team going forward and starting to now things are starting to gel and mesh and make them maybe a climb up the standings?
I mean, you'd hope so. Everyone knows, I think, here what this season is. It's a full rebuild, and really, when you break it down and look at it, it's the first year of a full rebuild. Last year, even though we didn't make the playoffs, we had a pretty old team. We had a lot of guys move on. So, even last year, people like to think of it as a rebuild because we didn't make the playoffs, but that's not really the case. So this is the first year of a full rebuild. So what you're looking for is expectations are low. So what you're looking for is guys to step up, and you know what, you'd like to be surprised by players who come through in big situations. And so Friday night in London in front of a packed house, 9,038, you go to overtime with that team in London, and that's a team that we're going to probably be looking at in the standings throughout the year, and you win in that building in front of that many people. Man, that's a huge plus moving forward for such a young team. You know what, I think that's a win right there that we can build off of. And, to the team's credit, we did. The next night we really throttled North Bay at home 6-1, and, the battalion didn't really have a chance in that game. And that's something that we just hadn't seen this year yet from the Spirit, was taking advantage of some momentum, taking advantage of players really playing well and starting to put the puck in the back of the net. We had been a little bit inconsistent with that, but it was really encouraging to see that type of play from our group.
That's Joey Botteno for the Saginaw Spirit, Director of Broadcasting and Communications. Joey, thanks for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. Anytime.
We got more Otters Hour coming up after this. You're listening to the Erie Otters Radio Network on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
As more and more companies offer their employees a choice of health plans, more and more people are deciding UPMC Health Plan is the best choice. With affordable in-network access to UPMC and other doctors and hospitals in your community, plus award-winning customer service, it's no wonder UPMC Health Plan is the fastest-growing health plan in the region. So when your employer gives you a choice this year, make the choice more and more people are making. Choose the best. Choose UPMC Health Plan.
The Nissan Altima. It's now 30% off its manufacturer's suggested retail price. This stylish car is a 2017 Top Safety Pick Plus, and it gets up to 39 miles per gallon. And it's 30% off its MSRP. Another amazing price is on the Nissan Versa. It's selling at its lowest price ever, only $11,990. Come see the Altima and Versa at Interstate Nissan, 1.5 miles south of I-90 on Route 19.
There's 2 or more at each price. Altima HN 307132 Versa HL 8662668.
This holiday season, my good friend gave to me 7 Powerball tickets, 6 match 6 chances, 5 cash points, 4 cash for lives, 3 pick 3s, 2 Mega Millions.
Pennsylvania Lottery tickets make great gifts, like the new Merry Millions with top prizes of $1 million. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day.
And best wishes from the lottery.
An inside look at the OHL in Erie. You're listening to the Otters Hour on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
Welcome back here inside the Erie Insurance Arena. practice wrapped up for the Erie Otters. They're done for the day, and they can head back and get set for another weekend of action, because Friday night, a trip to Hamilton to take on the Bulldogs. Saturday, you got a home contest against the Saginaw Spirit. We just heard from Joey Bottano over with the Saginaw Spirit, the voice of the Spirit, to set the scene for us for the upcoming Saturday game. And then next week, it's taken to the road. Erie's got 3 road games, including Wednesday's school day game in Mississauga. First time that Erie's gone on the road for one of those. But they'll visit the Mississauga Steelheads Wednesday morning, 11 a.m. start for their annual school day game, one of 2 that they host. And then it's on to Michigan, where they'll see the Saginaw Spirit again and the Flint Firebirds in 2 weekends. And with our little alumni update, now we got to catch up with Alan McShane, former first-round pick of the Erie Otters a couple years ago, and the big chip on the table for the Otters to bring in Anthony Cirelli. And, for him, going into his draft year, highly touted. You could see the professionalism from him, even just in a short time with the Erie Otters, half a season. He had to waive a no-trade clause to even say yes. I'll be traded. He could have just ended things there. Being a high school player, he decided, took it in stride, went on and did some good things last year with the Oshawa Generals. He's off to a great start this year, and it was happy enough to catch up with them before the game the other day against the Oshawa Generals. So we'll kick it back a little bit here and listen to Alan McShane getting ready for his draft year. He's already ranked to be a first-round pick coming up in the NHL coming in June 2018.
Aaron Cooney here, joined at this time by former Erie Otters first-round pick Alan McShane. Alan, saw you along the road a couple times with the postseason run, but for you and obviously making the switch and the trade, moving over to the Oshawa Generals, what's it been like, and how have the Generals treated you here over the last half a season last year, now getting started here in your second year?
Yeah, it's all been positive, and the transition was easy, and I guess as easy as it could be. So definitely a change in scenery, but it's something where I had to accept it, and it's part of the business, and obviously made things a little exciting and more exciting than I was expected. So it was all very positive, like I said, and I'm excited to continue this year on, and the last half of the year went well as well.
Was it difficult to watch the guys that you drafted by the Otters and these guys you became friends with and teammates were with along the way before the trade to go and watch them win a championship and bringing in a guy like Anthony Cirelli to help them get him over the hump?
Yeah, I wouldn't say so. I think I was pretty happy for the guys, and I'm pretty good friends with all of them. So, I still keep in touch, and I was happy to see how well they did. There's no hard feelings whatsoever towards that. So, I was rooting them on through Mem Cup and through the finals, and I was happy to see how they did. And at the end of the day, it's something where I'm going to aspire to bring the Gens to that same circumstance where we're looking to win a championship, and I'll probably have a larger role to fill in that in that championship push than I would have here. So there's no bittersweet feelings. I think I was pretty happy to see the guys do well.
Speaking of that and looking at going forward, trying to get a championship of your own, you guys seem to be off to a pretty good start and a pretty good core as well that you're part of. And the pace that you're on yourself, 16 assists, 18 points, lead the team in scoring. What's it been like to take over and go from, in your second year, now you're the guy for this team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit different, but it's something I've been gearing up for, and I think it's important that I keep playing my game and making sure that I'm consistent with how I bring my A game every single time I'm on the ice, and it's not something I can pick and choose. Get a huge night here and then sleep for a few games. So I think it's important to keep that in the back of my head, make sure I'm helping the team as well as keep checking up on myself, make sure I'm playing right in all areas of the game.
Draft year has always become the question with the 17-year-old, going into that season in your second year. This first couple rankings starting to pop out from all over the place. Jeff Merrick has you at 20. When you see those, how do you go into a draft year? How do you prepare for something like that, knowing, your ultimate goal is to get drafted and move on to the next level?
Yeah, I'd say just probably, don't look into it too much. I've talked to a bunch of people about it, and people have been through it. So it's the thing that keeps coming up the most is to make sure that you don't pay attention to those ratings, and you don't look too much into where you are, and it's something I think I've done pretty good at doing. It's not the top of my priority to be ranked in a list now. It's about what happens at the end of the year. So, right now I think I'm taking it day by day and game by game, making sure that accomplishing little goals that probably help me out in the end. So, reaching little things like the combine and the All-Star game are important to me. So I think just short-term goals are what's going to benefit me the most.
That's Alan McShane of the now Oshawa Generals, former first-round pick of the Erie Otters. And for Alan McShane, into his OHL or his NHL draft year, maybe the 20 pick overall by the Erie Otters a couple years ago, and now here he is getting ready for his NHL draft year, and it would be a good one. Whatever team in the NHL decides to pick him up come June of 2018, and there's a couple other guys along the way. The Otters, for the first time in a while, you haven't had anybody on the NHL players to watch list, the NHL Central Scouting Service players to watch list that comes out usually November. The rankings, midterm rankings, come shortly after that. In Erie, no one to be seen just yet on there, but got a host of rookies that are making their way and starting to find their way in the Ontario Hockey League. I wouldn't be surprised if that changes a little bit later on in the OHL season. Some guys, maybe some re-entries, like a guy like Garrett Podubny, and thus far that may see themselves back on some lists. He did, as we mentioned, talk to him a little before on the show, and he had his time at Nashville Predators camp. But Garrett Podubny could be one to watch for some NHL teams a little bit later on. As we wrap things up here on Otters Hour for our third edition of the show, got to thank Troy Timpano and Garrett Podubny for stopping by with us. I also want to thank Joey Batano, the Director of Broadcasting and Communications for the Saginaw Spirit, as they will make their way into town on Saturday. Also want to thank Nick Ritson back in studio, joining us again to push the buttons and producing for us. Another fantastic work as well. As we wrap things up, the Otters are back at home Saturday against the Saginaw Spirit. Last home game, I should say, before Thanksgiving Day. So you want to make sure you get your tickets. Always, you can get $12 tickets to the Erie News Now Super Saver sections. Always available every game, all ages. $12 gets you into an Otters game. We're going to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us here on Otters Hour, as you have been listening to the Erie Otters Radio Network on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
You've been listening to the Otters Hour, an inside look at your Erie Otters and the Ontario Hockey League. This is WRIE Erie, CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260. An inside look at the OHL in Erie.
This is Jim Rome with the CBS Sports Minute. Yesterday, NBA Eric Bledsoe won the lottery. Actually, that might be giving the lotto too much credit. Let me try that again. Yesterday, Eric Bledsoe was traded from the Phoenix Suns to the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, that sounds better.